Hi, I am Glenn DeVries, Vice Chairman of Life Sciences and Healthcare at Da쏘sistems, and I'm also the author of The Patient Equation, a book about the future of healthcare and medicine and clinical trials. And I am so excited that it is coming out in Korean, in South Korea. I wish I could be there. I love visiting your country, and I was not able to do it again this year because it is such an amazing place where life sciences and healthcare is pushed forward by technology, biological and technological, every day. That is exactly what my book is about. I hope you enjoy hearing a little bit more about it, and I really look forward to visiting again in person. Maybe I can sign some of those books in Korean for you. The idea of precision medicine is based on the word precision. How do we really specifically identify who is going to need and benefit from a therapy? Well, if we're talking about identifying those specific people, those specific therapies, we need a way to define that. And the idea of the patient equation is a mathematical framework to make sure that we can repeatedly, reliably identify those therapies that are going to help me, that are going to help you at the right time to create the benefit from quality of life, longevity, whatever the perspective it is that matters to me or matters to you. The idea of a patient equation is let's figure out what really matters about a person, what aspects of their health. It could be your genes, it could be something else about your body, it could actually be something about the environment that you're in that we can use to make sure that you get the right therapy at the right time. And those exist today. They're just simple. They usually just look at one thing. Do you have a high cholesterol or not? But I see the opportunity to do that with a much broader set of data in a much more sophisticated way. We're all now wearing devices that measure things that probably matter to us pretty deeply. How much we're moving around, how productive we're being. Your smartwatch might not tell you if you had a good day or not, but there's probably a good way to correlate what's on your smartwatch to whether or not you had an enjoyable or productive day. And you certainly have a great baseline of what all your previous days looked like. The idea of taking that data and layering it on top of more traditional medical data that we have in a clinical trial means that we can create the mathematical relationships that connect the way that our doctors might look at what good health is and what good health looks like to us as people. That to me is a huge opportunity and is another really important aspect of this idea of patient equations resulting in things that not just are precise, but have great outcomes. Wouldn't it have been amazing if we could have, in the beginning of this pandemic, started to look broadly across patients in clinical trials, maybe even clinical trials and outside of clinical trials, and really see, regardless of whether they were an infectious disease patient in an actual COVID-19 clinical trial, which there are plenty of people doing vaccine and therapy trials now, but wouldn't it have been great to be able to look at patients who are getting treated for diabetes and for heart disease and for cancer to see if we could see some of the signals as early as possible. Again, it points a finger at where we've been missing some opportunities in terms of how we think about treating disease, whether it's a pandemic or whether it's a rare disease. These ideas are equally applicable. And hopefully there's a call to action here. I'm also not going to use the word silver lining, but if there's going to be societal benefit, I think there should be. And I think maybe we can not just learn some of the lessons that we clearly didn't have the chance to learn 100 years ago, because maybe there weren't the systems and connectivity that let us look at data in such a big way, but let's make sure we learn them this time. And that's why I think it's so important to talk about these ideas, even if it's too late to act on them necessarily in the context of COVID-19 specifically. COVID-19 has created a huge amount of challenge for clinical trials. We've realized that we can't run them the way we used to run them. We used to assume that there was a healthcare environment that was pretty static. But what we're discovering is it's changing a lot. So it's an unfortunate situation, but in some ways it's inspiring, and it's catalyzing a lot of new ideas to be used at scale in terms of how we can kind of break the old rules that we had to put a patient in front of a physician. Can we measure things in people's homes? Can we think about getting data from non-traditional sources and incorporating them in the way we're running clinical trials? And hopefully that'll actually create a better world to help these new medicines, these new medical devices get into the hands of patients who are waiting for them in research and afterwards.